International Women's Day, another interesting one. Well, International Women's Day is, wait. I almost forgot. This is Kin Stories, where we bring the world to life through storytelling, diving into finance, politics, history, and more in captivating tales that stick. If that sounds like your thing, hit like and subscribe so you never miss out. Now, where were we again? Oh yes, International Women's Day. Celebrated annually on March 8th, is a global observance honoring women's achievements and advocating for gender equality. Its origins are deeply rooted in the early 20th century labor movements and socialist organizations that championed women's rights, including suffrage and improved working conditions. The earliest recorded observance of a Women's Day occurred on February 28, 1909, in New York City, organized by the Socialist Party of America. This event was inspired by the struggles of women garment workers protesting against poor working conditions and low wages. In 1910, the International Socialist Women's Conference convened in Copenhagen, where German activist Clara Zetkin proposed the establishment of an annual Women's Day to promote equal rights and women's suffrage. This proposal was unanimously accepted by over 100 women from 17 countries. The first official International Women's Day was celebrated on March 19, 1911, in Austria, Denmark, Germany, and Switzerland, with more than 1 million people attending rallies advocating for women's rights to work, vote, and hold public office. A pivotal moment in IWD's history occurred in 1917 in Russia. On March 8, February 23 in the Julian calendar, women textile workers in Petrograd initiated a strike demanding bread and peace, which eventually led to the abdication of Tsar Nicholas II and the granting of women's suffrage in Russia. The United Nations began celebrating International Women's Day in 1975, during the International Women's Year, and in 1977, the UN General Assembly invited member states to proclaim March 8 as the UN Day for Women's Rights and World Peace. Today, International Women's Day is observed worldwide, serving both as a celebration of women's social, economic, cultural, and political achievements and a call to action for accelerating gender parity. Each year, the day is marked by various events, including rallies, conferences, and cultural performances, all aimed at promoting women's rights and addressing issues such as gender-based violence, reproductive rights, and equal pay. Stay with us as we delve deeper into the rich history of International Women's Day through a narrative inspired by African folklore, illustrating the journey toward women's empowerment. In a village nestled between rolling hills and vast savannas, there lived a young woman named Nia. The village, though vibrant and full of life, held onto traditions that limited the roles of women. Women were expected to tend to the home, fetch water, and care for children, while men made all the decisions for the community. Nia was different. She possessed a curious mind and a strong spirit. She often wondered why women couldn't participate in village meetings or have a say in decisions that affected everyone. Each time she asked, the elders would sigh and say, "This is how it has always been." One evening, after a long day of work, Nia sat by the river, her thoughts racing. She watched the water flow, carving new paths through the land, and she whispered to herself, "Why can't change flow like this river?" As she was lost in thought, an old woman approached. It was Mama Coco, known for her wisdom and stories. Seeing the concern on Nia's face, Mama Coco asked, "Child, what troubles you?" Nia hesitated before speaking. "Why are women not allowed to speak in the council or make decisions? Are we not part of this village too?" Mama Coco smiled gently. "Let me tell you a story from a distant land, where women once faced similar challenges." She began, in a vast kingdom beyond the mountains, women toiled day and night, their efforts unnoticed and unappreciated. They worked in the fields, cared for families, and kept the kingdom running, but when it came to making decisions, their voices were silenced. The king and his council of men decided everything. Women could not own land, could not speak in the assembly, and were rarely acknowledged for their work. One harsh winter, the kingdom faced a great crisis. Crops failed, hunger spread, and sickness took hold. The council of men debated endlessly but found no solution. They argued over taxes, war strategies, and trade, but none of their ideas could ease the suffering. Amora, a brave woman from a small village, watched as her people suffered. She and other women had ideas, planting winter-resistant crops, preserving food in new ways, and working together to support the weakest, but no one listened. One evening, as she sat with a group of women by the fire, she said, "If we remain silent, our children will starve. If we do nothing, nothing will change." The women murmured in agreement, but one of them asked, "What can we do? The king will never listen to us." Amora stood tall. "Then we will make him listen." Determined, she and the other women spread the word. Women from villages far and wide heard their call and joined their cause. They decided to march to the royal palace and demand to be heard. On the day of the march, women from all corners of the kingdom gathered. Some carried banners, others sang songs of unity and strength. Their voices, though long silenced, rose together as one. The king, seeing the massive gathering, was taken aback. Never before had so many women stood together in defiance. At first, he was angered, but as he saw the determination in their eyes, he grew curious. Amora stepped forward. With steady confidence, she spoke of their suffering, their ideas, and their vision for a better future. She proposed new ways to grow food, ways to preserve resources, and ways to ensure that no one in the kingdom went hungry again. The king listened. His council was skeptical, but as they debated, the king realized the wisdom in the women's words. He agreed to their proposals, and for the first time in history, women had a seat at the decision-making table. The kingdom flourished under their contributions. Women continued to work, but now, their efforts were acknowledged, and their ideas helped shape the land. To honor this change, the kingdom declared that one day each year would be dedicated to celebrating women and ensuring that their voices were always heard. This tradition spread across lands and evolved into what we now know as International Women's Day. As Mama Coco finished her story, Nia's eyes sparkled with inspiration. If women elsewhere could bring such change, why can't we? Mama Coco nodded. Change begins with a single voice, but it takes unity to make it resonate. That night, Nia could not sleep. She thought of Mama Coco's story, of the women in the kingdom beyond the mountains, and of her own village. The next morning, she made a decision: she would not stay silent. She spoke to the women in her village, sharing Mama Coco's tale and her vision for change. The women, inspired, agreed to support her. Together, they approached the village council, requesting a meeting. The men laughed. What could women have to say about leadership? They mocked. Undeterred, Nia and the women organized a peaceful protest. They stopped their daily tasks. No water was fetched, no meals were cooked, no firewood was gathered. At first, the men ignored them, assuming they would give up. But as the days passed, the impact became clear. The village struggled. Water pots remained empty, children wandered without guidance, and the men, unaccustomed to these tasks, found themselves overwhelmed. Finally, realizing their mistake, the council invited Nia and the women to speak. Nia stood before them and, with the same strength as Amora, said, "A bird cannot fly with one wing. If our village is to grow, both men and women must have a voice." She spoke of the wisdom women held, the ideas they could contribute, and the fairness of including all people in decision-making. The council listened. They saw the unity and strength of the women, and they could no longer deny them a place in leadership. They agreed to their demands. From that day, women participated in village meetings, and their perspectives led to better prosperity and harmony. To ensure future generations remembered the importance of equality, the village established an annual celebration, aligning it with International Women's Day. They shared stories, sang songs, and reaffirmed their commitment to unity and equal participation. Mama Coco placed a gentle hand on Nia's shoulder. "Now you see, my child, history is not just in books. It lives in our actions." Nia smiled. "Then let us make history." And so, with courage and unity, the village changed forever. The story of Nia and her village is a reminder that change is possible when people come together. International Women's Day is not just about celebration, it is about recognizing the power of every voice, the importance of equality, and the strength found in unity. Let us remember, No matter where we are, no matter how small our voices may seem, they have the power to shape the future.